Welcome back to BNOP Media. I'm your host, Mwelwa. We're dedicated to giving you marketing tips and tricks to elevate your marketing to make your business make more money. Today, we're going to go over how to create the perfect logo. Now, you might be thinking, in today's modern world, why do I even need a logo? People know where to find me, they know my product. Why is a logo still important? That's a great question. We're here to answer it. A logo is basically shorthand for your brand's vision. It communicates what you're all about and lets people identify with you and create an emotional connection with what you're selling. In today's modern landscape, a logo is important because it shows an investment in yourself. It also shows what you're committed to, your core values, and what you want your customers to know about you right off the jump. So, we're going to talk about why a logo is still important, what makes a good logo, and how it can impact potential customers, and how you can make the perfect logo for you. So, why is a logo important? Well, a logo is shorthand for your core values. If you look at every major brand, they all have a specific logo that identifies them. This is to show customers that they have a specific voice and brand guidelines that they want to stick to. A logo showcases what you're all about. It also exemplifies the kind of aesthetic that you're looking to expose to your customers. This way, people know and recognize you right off the bat. A logo is also a way for people to create an emotional connection with your brand. You might see this everywhere. People just wearing sweatshirts or t-shirts with nothing but a company logo on top of it. This way, people identify with it. A lot of people create an emotional connection with the brand that they're associated with, and that logo becomes a part of their identity. Customer loyalty is one of the most important things in business. The more loyalty that you can create out of your customers, the more secure you're going to be in your business in the long term. So, here are the main things that make a logo important. Number one, brand identity. If more people see your logo, they instantly recognize you and your brand. The more people see you, the more real estate you take up in their mind. And if thoughts become actions, then the more likely someone is going to become your customer in the long term. Next, emotional connection. Have you ever noticed that a lot of fast food brands have the color red in them? This is because color theory plays a big part in how we make our decisions. Red evokes vitality, excitement, and even happiness. Think about Coca-Cola's iconic logo. This logo is classic and hasn't changed in years. The reason for this is Coca-Cola wants to create a very specific emotion with people when they see their logo, one of nostalgia and happiness. They want you to think about a memory that you've had where Coca-Cola was involved. The more you think about it, the more likely you are to go buy yourself another bottle. This is incredibly important because the more people identify with the logo, the more people identify with the product. Next is trust and professionalism. A lot of people expect you to have a logo, which is one of the reasons you need one. It shows that you've actually taken time to identify who you are and what you want people to think about you. It also lets people know that you've invested in yourself. A company with a logo has to be taking themselves seriously. That means that the audience is also going to take you seriously. It's shorthand for who you are. It also communicates your core values and how you want to be thought of in rooms that you're not in. This is what creates a brand. And this is why logos are still very important today. Now, you might be thinking, what makes a good logo? That's a very good question. We're here to answer it. A good logo has to be shorthand for your brand and your company. Think about your core values and think about color theory, the wacky and wonderful world that it is. Now, if you notice, there's a lot of similarities between certain companies in different industries on how they create their logos. We've already talked about fast food companies and how they use red. Red is iconic, it's very evocative, and it also represents happiness and excitement, but it also represents ripe fruit. The more red you see in the wild, the more you associate it with food. And this connection is what is communicated to customers. Whenever they see the red, they start thinking of ripe fruit and they start thinking about food. The more they think about food, the more they think about the logo, the more they're coming to you. If you also notice, a lot of tech companies use the color blue. That's because blue invokes trustworthiness and reliability. Think about Intel or Nivea, PayPal, or pretty much any other tech company nowadays. Another color that's very evocative is silver. Silver represents sophistication, luxury. Think about Apple or pretty much any car brand. These are the types of emotions that they want to evoke anytime you see their logo. Because when you do, you know what they stand for and what they're all about. So this is something that you have to think about whenever you're creating your logo. What are you trying to communicate? What are the things that you want people to think about immediately they see that logo? If you look at the shapes of logos, you also see a very clear distinction. Round logos try to communicate trust. Think about Apple again, or Pepsi. These logos are very iconic because they're instantly recognizable. Logos that are square try to communicate professionalism. I know it seems strange, but a lot of thought goes into all of these things, and it's something that you have to consider when crafting your own logo. So, what can we learn from this? Number one, try to think about what you want to communicate and put that into everything that you do. This is going to become your brand. Second, try to think about how other logos affect you, what you think about whenever you see them. This is also going to help inform how you can make a perfect logo for your brand or your business. The best brands create logos that are simple and effective at communicating to their target audience all the things they want to communicate at once. So, the key elements of a good logo. One, it has to be simple. Why? Because simple is memorable. You can really only remember very key aspects of any kind of picture. That's why the Nike logo is just one swoosh. Every time you see it, you know what it is. Anytime you see any other logo, you notice that they're becoming simpler and simpler because what's simple is what's remembered. So try to think about what you want to communicate and then condense that down into one singular idea. Another aspect of a good logo is that it's versatile. Think about how many things that your logo is going to end up being printed on. Billboards, t-shirts, mugs, caps. All these things have to be considered when you're crafting your logo because it's not always going to be on a simple square platform. So that's something you have to consider as well whenever you're crafting your logo. Next, relevance. Your logo should talk about you. It should represent you. It should be something you're proud to showcase. It should communicate your core values and what your brand stands for. These are the characteristics of an impactful logo. So now let's talk about how we can create your perfect logo. Paradoxically, despite the fact that you want your logo to be simple, we actually want to start off with a lot of ideas. Try to encapsulate everything that your company or brand represents. Now, put them on a board. From this moment on, we're going to try and condense all these things into a singular idea. That's how we get the perfect logo. We start off big and end simple. Next, we want to invoke the type of emotions we want to invoke in our audience. So this is the time you have to think about color palettes and shapes, and also whether or not you want to put your tagline in there. And a lot of people aren't going with tagline these days because again, it's a little more complicated. So you always want to make sure everything is simple. Despite the fact that Nike has one of the most distinctive and memorable taglines, you might not often see it on any of their brands. That's because the logo is much more important than the tagline itself. So start off with a lot of ideas, brainstorm with your team, and talk about your core values and what your brand represents. Next, start condensing this down into one simple idea. That is going to become the foundation of what your logo is going to be. Next, think about color palettes. Different colors evoke different emotions in your audience. Red is about excitement, vitality, and food for some reason. Blue evokes trustworthiness, reliability, and stability. Silver communicates luxury and premiums. You have to think about all these things whenever you're crafting the perfect logo. Next, try to make it unique. In a very highly competitive world with so many different companies and brands competing for everyone's attention, you want to stand out. So think about what makes you unique and then try and put that into your logo as well. I know it doesn't sound easy, but trust me, crafting the right logo can make all the difference. Why? Because it creates brand identity, and a brand identity creates customer loyalty. And the more loyalty you can generate from your audience, the more they'll trust you whenever it's time to make that purchasing decision. So you can start crafting your logo from scratch, or you can get BNOP Media to do it for you. Either way, I've been your host Mwelwa, and we're dedicated to giving you the best marketing advice and tips. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, have a good one.